better look at yourself and like what you see.
I've been playing music since I was, maybe 7 or 8 years old. I was the little guy with the toy piano. And, my dad showed me my first couple chords on the guitar, and I kind of took off from there. And as far as singing goes, I was 12 years old, and I don't want to be judged, but the first album that ever really made me want to sing was Hanson's Middle of Nowhere. Because Taylor Hanson, that kid's got a great voice. So I started singing, and then I started writing my own stuff when I was maybe 15 or 16, and kind of just took off from there. And I feel like right now I'm at a point in my life, musically, or maybe writing, where I probably love it more now than I did for a long time, because I'm better at it now than I was. When I was 16 or 17, I wrote, songs like The Same Beginning, which are your typical 17-year-old, pop love ballad, but at 16 years old, I'm thinking like my heart's broken, my life is over, I'll never find anybody else again, and I wrote a song about it, and I look back on it now, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe all these suckers like that song, because it's meh. I would love to do music as a career, but my family knows, that, as well as I know, that it's kind of, it's a long shot, to say the least, to do music as a career, period, at any level. Yeah, I have the support of my family, to as much of an extent is practical. Recently, my music was described as blues-driven rock with poppy melodic songwriting, so it's, I would call it like, like bluesy pop rock. I've been writing my music since maybe I was 15 or so, and it's been a really interesting process, because I have probably hundreds of songs written, and I can go to my computer and look them up right now, and it's I read them and I'm like, what the heck was I thinking? Who was I? I don't even know who I was at the time. I think, at least for myself, when I write music, I it normally starts off with me grabbing a guitar and just playing around until I find a melody on the guitar or a chord progression that I like. And whatever I'm feeling usually dictates when it is that I find something that I like. If I'm having a bad day, if I'm playing something on the guitar that kind of sounds like I'm having a bad day and that catches my ear, okay, I found where I'm starting. Then I start to write lyrics to it. I usually like to write the hook first, because the hook is like the core, and once you have that down, you can start building around that, and that's kind of been like a formula for success for me. I feel like sometimes when you write a song, it doesn't necessarily have to mean you're writing words on music. There have been times where I've written just lyrics that kind of go through my head all day when I have like a melody in my head, and I kind of like write words to it as I'm sitting there. There have been a couple times, I'm ashamed to say this, maybe I'm not really ashamed, but I'll be sitting in class and like I'll be daydreaming or whatever, and I'll have like a melody line in my head and I'll start writing music right then and there. So it can be that spontaneous, But sometimes, yeah, I do write the accompanying music, and I'd say the majority of the time I try to write it, but it doesn't always turn out to be the best thing. I do think it out in my head, but at the same time, sometimes it's good to sit down with a piano or a guitar and a piece of paper, because they're both constructive ways to do it. It just takes. It really depends on the moment, situation. My band won Philly Rising's, Best Unplugged for their open mic in August of '09. We won it for the month. And then we went on the yearly competition, and we came in second place to a guy named Sean Penn, who was on Making the Band with P. Diddy. So he had like a pretty solid advantage over us to begin with. But that was cool, coming in second place is huge. There was like a few hundred, acts that had come out during the year to do that, and we came in second overall. My music's been featured on, national compilation CDs. One in particular is AlternativeAddiction.com. They have a really cool compilation CD that one of my songs when I was younger was featured on. And I started performing that song when I was maybe 16, so it goes to show you how dynamic, music can be, because you could be just a little guy and write something great, and there you go, you're winning awards. My first performance, I was young. I think I was either 14 or 15 years old, and I was in my band Nova, and Ryan, my current guitarist, was in that band with me. And I remember we were really excited about it. It was at a place called the Good Shepherd, which is a church at Cotman and Erdrich Streets in Philly. And I remember being terrified, and I remember how much, playing has changed, for me since then. Playing live now is this really exciting thing that's more about, how I emote and, what the performance is. Back then, it was about, oh my God, am I gonna look stupid in front of these people? I really have to do well. I don't want to end up being the person that just looks silly on stage. And we did the best we could to not think about it. My bassist wore a Mighty Ducks jersey. So that kind of made everybody feel better. So that was the first performance. And just the other day, we played the Kimmel Center, which is the coolest thing ever. So a lot's changed. The purpose and the aim and the goals have changed. I've been part of a couple bands. I was my first band was called Nova, and my current guitarist Ryan was in that with me. My buddy Michael was the drummer, and my friend Chris Deal was the bassist. After we defected from that, I was in a band called Just Spaces, and that's when I wrote The Same Beginning and Try. And then now I'm in. Well, I did stuff on my own for a while, and now I'm in a band called Cityline. And so I went from, I was in Nova for a year, I was in Just Spaces for a couple of years. I did my own thing for a little while, and then, I've been in Cityline for, about 3 years now. We're definitely developing a fan base. We're getting bigger. I don't know, it's times like these in our music that are really exciting because, I don't know, we're starting to play better places. We had just played the Kimmel Center. And we played downstairs at World Cafe Live, which was cool. The Counting Crows played there, and Bruce Springsteen played that stage. So, I mean, we're not well known, but we're definitely starting to make some fans in Philly. In fact, we got that Kimmel Center show because somebody dropped our name in a suggestion box. The other members of the band are Ryan Plotcher, which is, he's my guitarist. Joe Baziri is my bassist, and he's also a former engineer for Drexel University's label, Mad Dragon Records. And my drummer is a kid named Matt Camp. He came all the way out here from Illinois to drum for us, which is really cool. I guess in that sense, we're really, I guess we're unique because a lot of the bands in Philly are comprised of members just from Philadelphia. And, we got a kid that came all the way out from Illinois, and Rye even spent time in Illinois and came back out. So it's been, that's been pretty interesting. We kind of pulled talent from a couple different places, and it's worked out pretty well. Our practices are different now than when we were a kid. Back then it was about having fun as much as it was about writing. But when we brought Joey in, our bassist, everything changed. Joey used to go to Drexel University, and he used to work for Marcy Wagman, who is the head of Drexel's student-run record label, Mad Dragon Records. Even though he's our friend, and we enjoy practicing with him, he also commands respect, and he likes to kind of take control of practices. He's kind of like our general, So in practices, he gives us structure, he gives us vision. He kind of tells us, this is what we should be doing right now, and we do that. And, so that's how practices have changed for us. I mean, definitely for the positive, because not only do we have more direction now, and not only are things more structured, but we have a general, a guy who's been there, he's got the experience, and that kind of flows in all of us. So if there was ever a time where Cityline stagnated in its growth, it was before Joey came along, because, I'm only so good, and, Rye's only so good, and Joey's only so good, but he brought a different type of good, he brought all that practical experience, and that really helped. Sometimes, depending on the situation, just recently we played the Kimmel Center, which was cool, and we were gonna have 2 electric sets and 1 acoustic set. So we did an electric practice at the house we usually practice at, because we can be loud there. and then we took the rest of the practice over to Joey's house, and we were able to do an acoustic practice there. You know, Matt brought out the tambourine.
I go to school at Chestnut Hill College. I'm technically a senior, even though I'm not attending classes right now. And I actually work for Chestnut Hill too. I am the assistant web manager for the website. I don't know. You know, when I get boring, I like to come out here sometimes. I used to like, come out here all the time. If it was like 3 in the morning and I couldn't sleep, and if there was nothing to do, you know, I come outside and play. I'd usually go sit over in the archway and play. You know, those were always good times because it's like, you know, it's therapeutic.
Underwear beads on your bended knees, just praying that attention will come. But all of my fear settles up on me, and it drags me to water, and it sunks my head under. All of my fear settles up on me, and it drags me to water, and it sunks my head under. Ink out the last drop of coffee from a cup. The paper's headline screen from their page. Head down to the port where I first and picked you up. This time feels so staged. Stairs on were uninviting underneath my feet. Think what a perfect say. There you are, just as beautiful as always.